All right, let's, like I said, no more than 10 or 15 minutes, and I hope less than that, talk about your homework assignment, if I can find it. There it is. All right. Hopefully you're well into the first problem. All right. Remember, you were supposed to come in here and go to this thing, this barely fits designs. Oops. And come in here and create these 9 different things. You were given the CSS. All right. Does everybody realize that, let's say you put the CSS in and it looks absolutely nothing like that? I mean, not even close, for whatever reason. Do you remember that you can come in here and right mouse click and choose View Page Source? And that shows you everything that made up that entire page. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is it shows you everything that's in the entire page, including all of this stuff. But if you're really stuck and you're looking for a way to try to help find out how to do this, it's in there. Okay? I don't know if that'll help or hurt. That's why I didn't even know if I wanted to say it or not. But like I said, ideally, you've come in here and you've done these. And it doesn't have to be perfect. A couple of you talked to me, separately on or offline and said, mine over here, like right here, this is pushed way up against the side. I don't really care. As you might guess, I don't spend a boatload of time grading these. I probably spend for each one of these 10 exercises, probably 5 minutes on each one of you. But between, taking it down, bringing the next one up, etc., that's an hour right there. All right. So everybody cool with that first part? All right. And I know this is a lot of work. I'm not saying it's not. Personally, I wouldn't have assigned this much, but that's what I was asked to do, so that's what I did. All right. Then you were supposed to come in here and create this. Go out to the CSStricks.com and create this. Now again, I know a couple of you have talked to me about this and said, well, when I make this bigger and smaller, etc., on the page, I might have white space on the bottom or in a corner. That's okay. All right, there are ways around that, but by and large, most of them are hacks. There is not that I know of, there is not yet a magical bit of software that somebody has created that whatever site or whatever you create is going to look good on every browser there is and on every size computer or tablet or other mobile device there is. It's just not going to happen, at least not yet. All right? Again, when I said put in actual web page content, just put in something that makes sense. In other words, if you want to put in something about a site you're going to create, fine. If you just want to put in some kind of garbage text, but something that sort of makes sense. And then you had this one also. All right? That was the first one. Then for the second one, of course I don't have it here. There's lab 3, so that's the third one. For the second one, now I just gave you how I did this one. Again, I sent that to you. You should be able to come in there and kind of, for lack of better words, kind of massage that one and do the other ones. All right? I do want to mention very quickly that as far as the way that I did those, and don't pay any attention to this, I'm working on something else. I ended up using padding bottom a lot on here for stretching things out and for positioning it on a page. How did I know to do that? Because I Googled. I knew that I wanted to use divs, and I knew how I wanted to set it up. So I Googled how to get space between divs, etc., and I did a lot of Googling last night. And one of the things talked about using padding bottom and using percentages. That's why I used that. All right? So that's the second assignment. Like I said, at least ideally, what you're going to be able to do is take the one that I gave you and modify it. All right? And again, I said it should be a real text site. If you want to use all images in here, or if you just want to put in some text, whatever it happens to be. All right? And I mean, the thing that I showed you, I would accept that because I'm looking for the way you've laid it out. So if yours is laid out and yours looks more or less like this for each one of those, that would be okay. I don't want you to go so nuts in here. I watch some of you. You are to be commended for, trying to sit there and say, well, it doesn't look exactly. But at the same time, I don't want it where you're taking, 12 hours on each one of these assignments. All right? Then the last one that you are supposed to do. That's this one. And if you say, well, that's the hardest, I'm not going to disagree with that. Again, what you may want to do is to go out to that Get Bootstrap site, getbootstrap.com, download Bootstrap, all right? And, again, I gave you something that looked similar to this. It's not identical, but it's similar. I've also shown you I've got resources out there where I've got 20 or 30 different lectures that I've done on Bootstrap. And like I said, I put this out there. And the worst case, let's just say, well, I don't have time to do all that stuff, Jeff. Okay, I can appreciate that. But if I go out to Get Bootstrap and I go to the Getting Started, I already mentioned this to you before. Let's just assume for a second that I say, this one is real similar to the one that was assigned. It's not, but let's just say it was. So I click on it. There it is. Remember, I can always right mouse click on this, choose View Page Source, copy all of that information in. If I do that, I now have that one. Now, I may have to go in and find the bootstrap.js and bootstrap.css files and bring those in, but they're there in the download. All right? And, worst case, so okay, Jeff, I did all that. I'm still really, really confused. I started to look at your videos and they hurt me more than they help me type of an idea. You can always go out to YouTube and take a look too. Again, there's by no means does this have to be perfect. If you give a good effort, you will get a good grade. I will tell you that for your third test, much of it will be taking the test that you're doing on Monday and converting it over into a Bootstrap setup. That's the reason for this assignment. So you've got some experience and some practice doing it. Does that make sense? All right. I mean, I'm looking at it that ideally, at least, if you have problems with a written test or you have problems with the hands-on test, that this is a way for you to get some of those points back. Now remember, I'm not going to go and bring it up right now, but the way that the syllabus is set up, what is it? I think it's 75% of your grade is based on the tests, the written tests and the hands-on tests. All right, that's 75. 20% is on these assignments. All right? So really, if you look at this assignment, you go, yeah, well, it's 3 different assignments. If you say, well, they're worth 300 points, no, technically, they're worth 20% of 300 points. Does that make sense? So they're really worth 60 points because the assignments are worth 20%. All right? I will tell you that for the test that you will take, the hands-on test that you will take, I don't know if I've got a copy. In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't have a copy with me. But the one that you will take on Monday, and remember, you've got the entire period to work on it. No, I don't. But for that test, you are asked to create a simple website with about 5 pages on it, a home page and a bunch of other pages. And you're asked to do a bunch of the stuff. If you've got your homework done by then, you should have 1 or more of those pages up so you've got something to use as a baseline. And please, when you're taking that test, that may be, I don't know, that may be one of the few days in here that goes by like this. And don't spend all of your time. Take a look at the test because it'll be set up and it'll say, this is worth 5 points. This is worth 10 points. And I wouldn't spend an hour on something that's worth 5 points. That's just me. You may or may not agree. And I can appreciate the fact that you might be very much a perfectionist. All right? But I don't want to see it where, yeah, you've got that one part done, so I got those 5 points. Oh, geez, it's 11:30. I don't want that to happen. And I've seen that kind of thing happen before when people take tests. All right? Then on Tuesday of next week, we will go over Chapter 7, and if there's time, we may very quickly, like I'm saying 15 minutes max, and I'll have you time me, also go over Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is on tables, but you're not tested on those. All right? So the next chapter goes into talking more about layout. I'd suggest that you at least glance through Chapter 7 before this test. Remember, if you get stuck, if you're asked, and I don't remember, honestly, I don't remember if it's on there or not, but let's assume that on your test that you are asked to create, I don't know, something like this, where there's a 3-column format. And you're like, geez, I don't remember how to do that. Well, remember, back on the first assignment, and I'm sure I won't find it now, but oh, there it is. On that first assignment, if you go here, remember, that showed you how to set something up. So if I want, for example, 3 columns and I want a gap between them, let's just say I want 20 pixels between them. Boom, I can do that. Then I can always go back and right mouse click on here, if I bring it up, of course, in this, but if I bring it up in, if I bring it up in Chrome, I can always bring that in there. All right, right mouse click on it, choose View Page Source to see how that was done. Remember, the test Monday is totally, it's hands-on, but it's totally, you can use anything you want other than each other. All right, and I'm supposed to mention this too, not in this class, but in one of the other classes. When we're saying that it's, you can use anything you want, that doesn't mean, no joke, please don't laugh. It isn't meant to be funny. This isn't like, whatever that show, How to Be a Millionaire or whatever the heck it is. There's no phone a friend. Supposedly in other classes have already found situations where students are emailing friends. Do you know how to do this? Or somebody who's taken the class already. All right. So I haven't done much of this, but I'm supposed to start walking around while you take the test. Because as the saying goes, every time you make a better mousetrap, the mice get smarter. Unfortunately, you're the mice in this case. And there are people who are doing that. So if I have to walk around, I trust every one of you until you give me a reason not to. And it's hands-on anyway. All right? I will try to remember to ask, but if you come in here on Monday and you have any questions, if you can come in early, that's good. If you can't, I'll try to remember to ask before the period starts. All right? I'm going to do the best I can to grade those on Monday when I get home, but they're probably not going to be that easy to grade as opposed to these when I've got a key in front of me. All right? Any questions? Sorry, that took a little longer than I thought, but you've got 2.5 hours now. Hopefully, if you're a little behind, you've got 2.5 hours to catch up.